when he got hit by that tractor, he survived. And he's back on your TV 10 years later. Woo, doggy, woo!
And we are live. First time we've ever done this on the internet, and hopefully everything will work out. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pete Lombard. This is Live with Pete Lombard, and indeed we are live, but I can hear these guys in the studio. My special guest is Kathleen Schurman. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you are from?
Bethany, Connecticut.
But you have a very special farm up there. You want to tell us the name of that?
Lockett's Meadow.
Lockett's Meadow Farm in Bethany, Connecticut.
Right. It's an animal rescue and sanctuary.
And you have about how many animals?
All right. When we specifically count them, it gets a little overwhelming. But we guess 130 or more.
At one time? I mean,
right now.
Right now, currently.
Right now, yes.
And you have how many horses?
30-something.
34?
34. Are you counting donkeys, mules,
well,
mini
I don't know,
donkeys,
might be
mini
a separate
horses?
category. Well, I don't know. You could
it's a whole different
equine category. I don't know.
There's if we count everybody that is related to a horse, it's I think it might be 38.
Okay, now these are rescue horses, right?
Right.
80% of the horses are non-rideable. They just enjoy the meadows and they eat and...
Yeah, pretty much. There's the ones that work, we had brought in actually when we first started rescuing horses, so that was 15 years ago, the biggest group that does therapeutic riding. We trained them from babies. We rescued them as babies, so...
Okay, now I'm going to rewind just for a little bit. You were doing what back in the day, and how did you and your family get involved in the farm?
I wanted a pony.
Every kid wants a pony. I still didn't get my pony. I didn't get my mini bike either.
All right,
yet, Mom.
here's the
Waiting
thing. Be careful what you wish for, okay? Because here's how it worked. We lived in Milford. We lived on the beach. I was a beach kid. My kids grew up beach kids. They're, grown and off now. But I wanted a pony. So we decided that my husband and I, when we decided to get married, this is our second marriage, this was 18 years ago, that we were going to move to the country. So we found a little farm in Bethany, and I went out and I got a pony.
You finally got that pony?
I got the pony. I got it so that my friends' kids could ride the pony,
sure.
And because, mine were too old.
Okay.
So anyway, then I found out about this group of horses that needed to be rescued. So we bought the farm next door and rescued them.
In addition to the one that you had.
Right.
So this expanded to like 15 acres?
Yeah, we had 5.5, and then we bought the farm next door, and then we had 15, and then we started rescuing horses with a vengeance.
Okay, so these horses are down like in Tennessee?
They're everywhere. The first bunch of horses we rescued were they're called PMU horses, and they're the product of the pharmaceutical industry. I get real passionate about this, okay?
Oh, okay.
I get real passionate about all of this. But years ago, the pharmaceutical industry was sending close to 50,000 foals to slaughter every year. They collect urine from pregnant mares because it's high in estrogen. And in order to collect that, they have to be pregnant. And the byproduct of that industry are thousands and thousands of foals. There is no place for 50,000 foals being born just because you want urine. So they would all be sent to slaughter. So 15 years ago, we brought in our first round of them. Oh, Lordy. The first year, we maybe brought in 10 and adopted out some. The next year, oh my God, I don't know, 30, 40. And then we became the drop point for PMUs being rescued out of Canada. They're all out of Canada. We'd have 50, 60 coming through, lining up adopters. So that's how we started out with that. We still have a lot of PMUs on the farm. And then after that, they found out that the Premarin and the Prem Pro was not actually really good for women. They were the women who were, it was the Women's Health Initiative. And it turned out that the women who were taking these drugs who were in this study were dying.
Oh my God.
Of cancer, breast cancer, heart disease, strokes. They were dying. They actually stopped the study. So they realized there was a problem with these drugs, and then they decided they had to they told all these women to get off of it. Everybody got off of it. There's 50,000 mares producing urine in Canada to make these drugs. The farmers all got out of the business and dumped all of their pregnant mares, and most of them went to slaughter.
Oh.
We rescued maybe 50 or 60 pregnant mares. We still have a few on the farm, and some of their babies as well, who are, grown. So
each one of the, we'll get into some of the particulars. Actually, we have some slides of some of your family members here, our extended family. And you have very interesting names for, like, you have a 650-pound pig, and the pig's name is Petunia Buttercup.
Petunia Buttercup. Everybody has a good name.
They'll have double names, but it has something to do with a flower as well.
Well, yeah, but it depends on there's Petunia Buttercup. That pig, she's about 650 pounds, and she sleeps in the kitchen every single night.
Okay.
She's never spent a night outside in her whole life. We got her. She was picked up as a stray pig wandering the streets of Paterson, New Jersey.
Really?
Seriously, I found out about her, and these lovely ladies, they brought her to me. She fit in a little dog crate, and then she grew and she grew and she grew.
And so how big was she when you initially got her?
Maybe, I don't know, 20 pounds.
Just like going down the streets of Paterson, New Jersey, and then you
know what
rescued
happens?
her?
People get them and they think they're going to have a pig roast, and then they can't bring themselves to slaughter them, and they just turn them loose. I have 2 others that I think came for that reason.
Okay, so folks, if you're thinking about having that pig roast, have a heart, and we'll give her address later on. You could just drop the pig. No, I'm just kidding. Here's a couple more pigs. Who are these guys?
Harriet and Ice.
All right. Harriet and Ice.
They're beauties.
Ice and Harriet.
Hold on, that would be Harriet, because she's missing part of that back foot.
Oh.
Yes, those 2, they were rescued out of, maybe 10 years ago, there were huge floods in Iowa, and in this valley, and there's tens of thousands of gestation sows trapped in these little tiny crates, and tons of them drowned. Some of them escaped. The ones who escaped swam. A lot of them made it to a levee. All of the people in the area thought perhaps they were digging around on the levee and they were going to break the levee. So they went out on boats with high-powered rifles and they shot a whole bunch of them. Farm Sanctuary went out with their trailers and whatever, and they managed to get, I believe it was 59 of them they rescued. The other pigs that survived were all killed because, you figure you survive something like these floods, you figure that you would find them a nice place to live out their lives, but they killed them all because the water was so polluted and they were in this water that their meat wouldn't be good. So I called and I said, I know you have a lot of them, and I'll be happy to take 1. And they called back and they said, would you take 2? And Harriet and I, they're awesome. We adore them. So I wrote a book called Ozzy's Promise, and the first chapter is their escape from the floods. And holy cats, I go to book signings and I cannot read that chapter out loud because I burst into tears and I can't finish. This is terrifying stuff. Pigs are very good animals. They're really sensitive, very sweet.
You talk to your pigs. Your pigs do tricks. They do anything for bananas, or
they do anything for bananas.
They're bananas for bananas.
Anything for bananas.
Tell us about what some of the tricks that your pigs do.
Well, all right. Well, I would say Petunia Buttercup is one of the best because she has always been in the house, but she has the best sit-stay on the farm. I have some pretty smart dogs, but she's better than all of the dogs.
Okay.
She heals. She gives kisses. Anything a dog can do.
Does she identify with dogs or humans more, or?
Humans.
Humans.
Dogs. All right. This is how you train a pig. You don't train a pig the way that you would train a dog. A dog, you'll push their little butt down, you'll say sit. You can't do that with a pig. The best way to do it is this. You line up your dogs and you tell them to sit and you give them each a piece of banana. And I didn't know this. It's called patterning. And they use that with autistic kids. But one day I had 4 dogs all lined up. Iris Magnolia, the black. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Speak of Iris Magnolia. It's Iris Magnolia. She was, she started out at Quinnipiac. A bunch of frat boys had gone to their homes in Long Island, and they went to a slaughterhouse, and they yanked a little baby pig out of the slaughterhouse, which was great, but then they decided that she was going to live in their house, and they got caught, and I got a call to come and pick up a pig.
And so how old was she, Iris Buttercup? I'm sorry.
2 months.
Okay.
Iris Magnolia.
I'm sorry. Okay, yes, Magnolia.
Petunia Buttercup.
Okay,
Iris
okay.
Magnolia.
I mixed up my plants.
She was about 2 months old, and she had no interest in being in the house. She wanted to be an outside pig. I made her come in at night. But anyway, so I had all the dogs. She'd been there 24 hours. All my dogs lined up, and I was giving them treats, and I get to the end, and there's a little black pig sitting there at the end of the line expecting a treat. And I said, oh, no, this can't be. So, you know, we broke it all up, and I called everybody back, and I told them all to sit, and there they were, 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs and 1 pig, all sitting and behaving, and she, to this day, I've had her.
So do you like sit, and she does it?
You could just, same way you tell a dog.
Do you have conversations with the pig?
I have conversations with every animal all day long.
Okay, they actually make a little kind of thing, and you know what?
Yeah, but I know what they're saying anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
They probably have some type of vocabulary, you know, outside,
When
no,
Ozzy
stay,
was a baby, and there are people who actually heard this, he called me Mama. He called me Mama, very clear as day. One day, a friend of mine was at the house, and I was trying to get Ozzy to go outside. I'm like, outside, let's go. And he didn't want to go. And he's going, no, no, Mama, no, no, Mama, honest to God. And this woman looks at me and she goes, did he just say no, no, Mama? I'm like, I wasn't going to say anything because everybody thinks I'm the crazy one. But yeah, the pigs are extremely verbal.
I was told we had a little bit of a technical issue because the Wi-Fi was on, but I guess we've straightened that out, and everybody is enjoying the show now on the internet in real time and everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to cellular network here and see if anybody has any question. So glad you're enjoying this share live. Pamela Pisano. Do you know her?
Pam. Yes, I do.
Yeah. She was having a technical problem, but I guess it's okay now.
She was having a technical problem because she has a stomach flu.
Oh, well, that's something different, but I think it might have been with the internet or something like that.
Hi, Pam. How you doing?
But,
I hope you feel better.
Okay, that's one. Okay, so who do we have here?
Okay, that's Locket. There's two, so that must be Meadow's shadow. Okay, ready? The donkeys are named Locket and Meadow. So the farm is originally named for the original Locket.
Okay.
Okay, and Locket lived in Bethany, and I didn't know that her name was Locket. But every day we had just moved to Bethany.
This is Locket.
This is Locket 2.
Okay.
This story goes on a little bit. Humor me, because it's a good story. I promise.
I'm all ears.
Okay. Ha ha. Sorry, they have the best ears in the whole world.
Oh, did they have? Okay.
No, look at those ears. Come on. All right, so anyway, so I would drive down 69, and there was this burro up on a hillside, and I was like, I'm in love with this burro. I'm in love with this burro. But I knew it was somebody's burro. So anyway, I decided I was going to get one. So I looked how to adopt them from the Bureau of Land Management, and I was going to have to go all the way up to upstate New York. So I was doing a story because I was working for, I think, the Register at the time, and I was down at the animal shelter, and I mentioned to the animal control officer, and he said, why would you go all the way up to Ithaca? Because there's one available in Bethany. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, right here. There's a poster, and I was like, that's my burro! So anyway, so the Niedermans were the ones who had her. And I called, and they're this lovely little old couple in Bethany, and Jim Niederman gave me like the 3rd degree, just making sure we were going to be a good home. And they agreed that we could take her, and she came to live with us, but it was maybe 5 years later, and she ended up with cancer. Oh. So part of my problem is I can hear animals talking, and she said, there has to be a Locket on Locket's Meadow. And I'm like, well, then you can't die of cancer. And that's that. How simple is that? And she's like, no, you have to get another one. And I'm like, what? So there's never babies available through this program. But it turned out a week later there was going to be an auction at Yukon. So I called to see if there were going to be any burros, and they said, and oddly enough, there were going to be 6 babies, which never happens. And I was like, 6 babies? How am I going to know which one? How am I going to know if there's 6 babies? So the next weekend, and I went and I asked Lockett, and she's like, you'll know, don't worry, I'll talk you through it. I'm like, anyway, so we go up to Yukon, and I go walking in. There's maybe 100 wild Mustangs, I don't know, and then all of the adult burros, and then there's the babies. Walked in, walked straight to her, and I knew that that was her. And of course, everybody wanted that one. And I gave up on the bidding. I just stood there with my hand up, and finally I'm like bidding against myself. They're like, you've got the donkey. And I'm like, brought her home. And she asked me if I could get another one, so I got the little black one that we named Meadow.
Nice.
When we brought her home, we loaded her off the trailer, put her in the paddock with the original Lockett. They walked up to each other, they went nose to nose, and that is the way they stayed for like days on end. They'd get up in the morning, and it was like this back and forth between the two of them. So I cut a deal with Lockett. I cut a lot of deals with my animals, and I was like, you tell me when it's time. When it hurts too much, the way I'm going to know, every night I would go out and I would give her a carrot and a kiss on the nose and say goodnight. They all got carrots in the barn. And the night that you don't take the carrot, I'll know. The night that she didn't take the carrot, I was like on my knees begging her, please take the carrot, please take the carrot, sobbing. And she's like, won't take the carrot. So I had to call the vet, and she came out the next morning. But the other Lockett is exactly like the original Lockett. Looks just like her, acts just like her. Sweetest, most wonderful animal.
We're going to take a quick break. Great story. We've got a couple more. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back with our special guest, Kathleen Schurman from Lockett Meadow Farm in Bethany. We'll be back right after this.
Good boy. Yeah, good fish, yeah. Good fish.
And we're back, and we're going to be talking about elephants. How many elephants have you got on your farm?
None.
I bet you want one, though.
No. My son lives in Abu Dhabi, and he keeps threatening to send me a camel. But
Well, that might be a good addition.
I'm good, thanks.
How many different types of animals do we have? We have dogs, cats, pigs, horses, donkeys.
Llamas, alpacas, sheep, goats, ducks, chickens, roosters, peahens. I think I have everything but bunnies.
You told me earlier that you had 34 horses, and
Right.
it's not cheap to feed them.
No.
And you probably like to give them the apples and the carrots too. But just general, it's about $2,000 a week.
$2,000 a week to feed the animals.
Oh, that's the whole
All the animals. It's
lot of
about
grocery bags, yeah.
Well, I don't even know how many bags of grain we unload every Thursday, but it's delivered every Thursday, and it's between $900 and $1,000, and then hay is over $1,000 a week.
So how does the farm survive? I mean, it's you get a tax break on the land because it's a nonprofit. You don't.
No, because and that's one of the things we have to change. We need to be able to, if we could pay off the mortgage, we can then put the farm in the name of the nonprofit, but right now we pay, I don't know, $25,000 a year in taxes.
Wow.
So, but we really do need to turn the whole thing into the nonprofit. Currently, as it's always been, my husband and I pay for most of it. It's about $200,000 a year.
You've got donations, you've got volunteers.
We have volunteers.
Do you have a website where someone could contact you if they wanted to, come and volunteer? And
yeah, absolutely. And we recently got a volunteer coordinator.
Yes, Marie.
Amanda. She's amazing,
okay.
amazing. Right. So if you want to talk to Amanda, you can. What's your email? LockettsMeadowVolunteers@gmail.
But there'll be a link at Lockett's
and there's
Meadow
a
Farm.
link. It's lockettsmeadow.org, and but most of the updating happens on the Facebook page. The Facebook page is a busy page. There's a lot going on
and
there.
you also, you're an author. You've got several books out there. You take a lot of proceeds to that and feed that to the animals.
The books don't make any money.
Not anymore.
It would be really nice.
What's a book?
They used to make money, but no. But I write them anyway because I've promised. Oh, Joshy, I've promised the animals that I would tell their stories. So I write the books, and so it's the Lockett's Meadow series. There's 3 Lockett's Meadow books. I write other books as well, but they're good books. I love them.
Oh, let's talk about this guy here on the screen. Who's this?
Josh. Yeah, if Wendy's watching, Wendy's the one who had him for a while. He'd lived at our farm years ago, and he went someplace else. And we got a call a few years back that he needed a home again. And how do you say no to this?
No, look at the eyes and the face.
Isn't he beautiful?
Oh, beautiful. Let's go to the next slide.
Oh.
Hero?
Cheyenne. That's Cheyenne. Okay, there's a terrible story. Cheyenne is the one who, I got a call from the boy, I'm sorry, I have so many stories. The animal control officer who said there's a horse in trouble. We've gotten the people to sign her over. Can you help me get her out and just hang on to her until we figure out what to do? So I sent somebody else. I didn't want to go because I'm tired of seeing bad things happen. Tired. So I figured, one of the girls who worked for me could pick her up and bring her home. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get her out of there. They needed her sedated. So I had to bring my little medicine box and so we walk up and there is this barn that is just, most of it's caved in. I'm like, oh God, there's a horse in there. There's garbage everywhere. It's just a mess. They were in there with crowbars because it wasn't like a real stall. They just kept nailing up plywood and this horse just kept chewing it down and they kept nailing it up. Mm-hmm. She had been in there for at least a year, possibly as long as 2 years, and they just would throw hay over the side. She was over her knees in manure. Oh. And next to her, there was a little depression where she would flop over onto her side and then she would get back up again. But she was just lying there in manure up to over her knees. So her feet were completely overgrown. She had the elf shoe overgrown. They were the worst feet I've ever seen.
Is this a before or is this the after?
This is after.
This is after. So she's very happy.
We didn't even know what color she was. She was just filthy. All of her hair had come out from lying in urine. It had burned her skin.
Awful.
So it took 6 months. She was in so much pain. It's 6 months before all of that hoof grew out and the abscesses finished growing out. And oh God, she tried so hard. I would have to take her for short little walks in the indoor arena where it's all sand just so she could, but it hurt. So she had special shoes, it's $200 shoes we got filled with gel so that it was softer on her feet. Mm-hmm. She was a project and a half. She's not going anyplace.
But she's very happy now.
Oh, she's good.
We have a couple minutes left. And one thing that I notice you do a live broadcast from time to time, a couple times a week here or there.
Yeah.
And one of the things it's the corn house.
In the corn house.
In the corn house, you have a large basket, and in the basket you've got sealable baggies, and in each of the baggies there's a part of an animal, like a tail or.
There's I have the hair from horses' tails. I have little wool from sheep or feathers from ducks, or so I do stories from the picnic basket.
Right.
And because I feel, these are all animals that we've
So you
loved.
have the big basket there, and you're
It's a
sitting
big
there with,
basket.
with Dave,
Yep.
and you're getting and you broadcast live, and you reach in the basket and you pull out a part of the animal, whether it be a tail or it's in the bag.
Yeah, it's in a bag.
And the sheet-
Just like it's just a little clipping.
Yeah, and then you tell a very interesting story. So you have story. You've had hundreds of animals, but you have stories for each one.
It's a rescue, and they all have the story of a rescue. So I will, again, I'll talk about my animals all day and all night.
She's about to cry. Well, I don't want you to cry.
But
What can we do to help out the animals, help out your farm? It's a great cause. I know you're working, 80, 90 hours a week, you and David and all the volunteers, and
Right.
it is overwhelming, but you love this. It's what you do.
we love volunteers, and of course you could go to, either the website
Yep.
or Facebook, and you can find us.
So if we go on
And,
Facebook and we go to Lockett's Meadow Farm, we
Yeah,
type that in,
yep.
and boom, it'll
You can
lead you
inbox me.
to everywhere.
Yeah.
So you've got a program with kids who are 8 to 18. I know you've got something
Oh,
coming up.
yes. We used to do this, and we haven't done it for a few years, but this is awesome. We have, it's called FAST Team, Farm Animal Support Team, and it's for kids. You know how 4-H is for the kids who are like raising animals for farm purposes? This is going to be teaching kids about rescuing farm animals. Dogs and cats are farm animals too.
Is this kind of like 4-H?
Yes, but with no raising animals for slaughter. We're going to rescue animals.
Okay. I didn't know 4-H was into the slaughter.
Yeah, well, they do that too.
Oh, they
That's
do.
part of it. It's all agriculture. Yep.
Okay.
So-
And then real quickly, what's the best thing to put on your tomatoes when you're growing them?
Oh, okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Llama or alpaca poop. And we're going to start selling it this spring. You want to buy it from us. It's
And the
gonna be
reason,
great.
because it's kind of like a pellet form,
It's
very much like a
pelleted,
rabbit
and it
turd,
breaks down
it breaks down
slowly.
slowly instead of
Yep.
shocking the system.
Right. So we have tons and tons of tomatoes we grow, and then we make sauce and we sell the sauce. This coming weekend on Sunday in Bethany, there's going to be a psychic fair. It's a fundraiser, and
I
I'm
heard
going to
it'll be a
have.
great event.
Oh yes, I'm going to have jars of sauce there to sell too. So and
great.
Lockett's Meadow Books, and then the following weekend, Frisco's Pizza is on that Sunday. Is that the 25th? You could check the website.
Cheese pizzas only, though.
Well, no, they have all kinds of vegetarian toppings. I
Okay.
double checked.
Okay.
Double checked. And they're going to be donating the proceeds from that day to the farm as well. So, which is amazing. I'm a little overwhelmed by that. So, it's like the least amount of work for a fundraiser I'll ever have done.
How many people does it take to run the farm, just like a day-to-day basis? They're up at early, and then they go to bed at 5:30. And
This is past my bedtime.
oh, past your bedtime.
I'll be up at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
It's past my bedtime. So it takes my husband and I, and then there's at least 2 or 3 people helping out. We could do it by ourselves, but then we can't have jobs, and we have to have jobs so that we can buy all this hay and feed.
So we're looking for volunteers.
Yep.
If people want us to give you a stipend or a donation,
Yep. And there's a donation page going
and
on.
you are a tax. I'm sorry, they could.
It's a 501c3. Everything
you.
is tax deductible.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's great. So look them up on the web. You go to Facebook, and you're going to go to Lockett's Meadow Farm. You'll click on it right there. You'll see a picture of this lovely lady, and you can also see many of the videos that she has done over the course, including the cornhouse basket with very interesting stories. Kathleen, I want to thank you very much for coming out and staying past your bedtime to be here late night at 8 o'clock.
It is late. It is.
But anyway, it's been great.
For
I want to
farmers.
thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
All right. It's been Live with Pete Lombard. I want to thank the crew in there. I don't know who we have. Doug and company, and Rob and Mike, and I don't know, Rick, Nick, and who? Oh, and Victor. Yes, we have to thank Victor too. And also a big shout out to Howard up in Portland, who wanted to ask an inappropriate question, as many of our viewers did, but our internet wasn't working, so we chose not to read those. Anyway, thank you for watching, and have a good evening.